My stepfather shut me out of my mom's birthday claiming I wasn't family, so I revealed the secrets they hid and crushed the delicate kingdom they pretended to rule, shattering every lie they built to keep me quiet. I, 19 male, still living at home while I wait to hear back from the college I applied to. My mom, 46, female, has remarried. And let me just say, her husband, Steve, 48, male, is the worst, like actually trash. He married my mom when I was 14. And ever since it's like I stopped being part of her family or something. Dude acts like I don't even exist half the time. And the other half, he's straight up being passive-aggressive or just plain rude. I tried ignoring it for years, thinking maybe he just needed time to adjust or whatever. Nah, he's just like that. I have an older brother, Lucas, 26, male, and he moved out a while ago, like right after mom got with Steve. Lucky him. I've been stuck here dealing with this awkward nonsense while he's off living his life. Steve's got a son, too. Anthony, male. He's like a year or two older than me. When we first met, I thought maybe we could at least be chill with each other. Nope. The guy's a walking headache, thinks he's better than everyone, always talking down to me like I'm 5 or something. You know that fake polite tone people use when they think they're smarter than you? That's Anthony 24/7. And it's not like he's doing anything with his life. He's been jobless since forever and just leeches off Steve, who also can't hold a job longer than like 2 months. That apple didn't fall far at all. Anyway, so growing up, it was just me, my mom, and my brother. My dad died when I was 8. It sucked, but we managed. We didn't have much money, but it felt okay. Mom used to make pancakes on Sundays, and we'd watch movies on the couch. We laughed a lot back then. It felt like a team, you know? Then Steve showed up and turned everything weird. He acted all nice at first, but even when Mom introduced us, he only hugged my brother Lucas and said something like, "This family feels complete now." Didn't even look at me, just nodded. I was standing right there, man, like, cool, I guess I'm invisible. After the wedding, everything went downhill fast. Steve treated me like an outsider right from the start. Always nitpicking, always giving me looks when I'd talk at dinner. If I left dishes in the sink, it was lazy and disrespectful. But if Anthony left literal trash on the kitchen counter, nothing, not a word. And Anthony, man, that guy hated me on sight. Probably because I was actually doing something with my life. I worked part-time at a supermarket, helped around the house, and kept my grades up. He just played Call of Duty, which he sucked at, by the way, all day, and acted like he was too good to bag groceries or something. And yeah, I'm not exactly fit or whatever. Gained some weight last year, been dealing with acne, not the end of the world, but it's like these two make it their mission to point it out every time I walk in the room. Hey, you sure you need seconds? Or you ever heard of a skincare routine? Like, I don't have a mirror, dude. Meanwhile, Anthony's out here acting like he's a model when he's just a guy who hasn't shaved in months and smells like old socks. The part that really stung, though, Steve never once introduced me as part of the family. He'd tell people Lucas was his son, but if I was there, I was just this guy, or he'd just skip me entirely. Like, bro, I've been living in your house for 5 years. You can't even fake it. Mom didn't say much about it either. She'd kind of look uncomfortable but then brush it off. I didn't want to stress her out, so I just sucked it up most of the time. But then Steve actually banned me from my own mom's birthday dinner. Yeah, you read that right. I baked a cake and everything. Her favorite kind, spent all morning on it, thought the first surprise her when she got home, but turns out Steve and Anthony had already planned some dinner thing for her without me. Lucas was out of town, so it was just me left behind. I didn't even know about it until Mom called me up like, "Hey, you coming to dinner?" And I was like, "What dinner?" She told me to meet them at this restaurant, so I showed up with the cake in this cardboard box, already feeling awkward. And man, you could cut the tension with a fork. Nobody said anything, just dead silence. Mom smiled and said, "Thanks for coming." But Steve looked like he just bit into a lemon. Anthony wouldn't even look up from his phone. 10 minutes in, Mom goes to the bathroom, and that's when Steve finally lets loose, looks straight at me and goes, "Why are you here? Didn't you get the message?" And I'm just sitting there like, "What message?" He goes, "This was supposed to be a family dinner. Some space for your mom, not for you to ruin." I said, "She asked me to come." And this man just shrugs and says, "Yeah, well, maybe learn when to take a hint."
Then Anthony joins in like, "Can you not make this about you for once?"
We wanted to give her a good evening, and I'm just standing there with this stupid cake on my lap, feeling like I just walked into a stranger's house. So yeah, I left. I didn't say anything, just got up and walked out before I lost it. Didn't want to cry in public or throw hands, so I just dipped. Later that night, Mom texted me asking why I left. I said I wasn't feeling good, didn't tell her what actually happened. I used to tell her every time Steve or Anthony pulled something, but all it did was make her upset, and then they'd have a fight, and then somehow she'd end up apologizing to them. It was like a bad cycle. I just got tired of it. I know she probably fought Steve to let me come that night. That's why it was so awkward when I showed up. She probably begged him to include me, but even that wasn't enough. That's when I knew I wasn't ever going to be part of this so-called family again. Not while Steve was in the picture. So, after that birthday dinner garbage, I didn't even sleep that night, not because I was crying or anything, I was just mad. Not the loud kind of mad either. It was that quiet, heavy kind where your brain won't stop looping the same scene over and over, and you're just lying there staring at the ceiling like, why the hell am I still even here? It hit me then that I'd been living in this house for 5 years, and I still didn't feel like I belonged in it. Not even a little. I wasn't family. I was just here existing like some leftover from my mom's first life that Steve just had to tolerate. And every time I tried to make it feel normal or fix things, it just backfired. What really got under my skin wasn't even the way Steve treated me. I mean, yeah, that sucked. But what messed me up more was how my mom let it keep happening. I get it. She was trying to hold everything together. I'm not blind. She wanted peace. She wanted to believe we were one big family and that if she just smoothed over the cracks, they'd go away. But smoothing over a leak doesn't stop the flooding. It just delays the mess. And Steve, that man, knew exactly what he was doing. He didn't have to scream or throw stuff to be toxic. He was a pro at being quietly manipulative. He'd say stuff like, "It's not about playing favorites, it's just that Lucas is more respectful." Or, "It's not that I don't care about you, I just think you could try harder." Those phrases sound polite, but they land like a slap, and he'd say them in front of my mom with this calm voice. So, if I reacted, I looked like the unstable one. The worst part, Lucas didn't get it. Not 'cause he was dumb or anything, he just wasn't around. He moved out a couple years after Steve moved in and only popped in for birthdays or quick dinners. Steve liked him, treated him like he was some golden boy. Always bragged about how he's got real drive and he's got his life together. And he does. I'm not knocking him, but it was like Steve used my brother against me as a way to highlight how off I was. Here's where it started shifting, though. While they were busy sitting around complaining about everything, I actually started doing better. Like, I picked up more shifts at work, started doing some freelance stuff online, helped a friend with tutoring middle school kids. I didn't even tell anyone. I was just keeping my head down and stacking whatever I could. And suddenly, I noticed something weird. They got quieter. Steve stopped making random passive-aggressive digs. Anthony got snappier, but not in the usual jokey way. He actually sounded annoyed. It was like me doing well made them uncomfortable. Steve, especially Steve. I could feel it. Like he didn't know what to say when I got home late from work or mentioned helping someone out. He'd just grunt or leave the room. And that's when I realized, this man doesn't hate me because I'm a failure. He hates me because I'm not. He saw me as a threat to his little image of himself as the man of the house. And Anthony, same thing. He didn't like that I was out here doing stuff while he was still waking up at noon like he had anything to recover from. Flipped a switch in me. Not a revenge switch or some big I'm going to get them thing. Just this quiet confidence. I wasn't powerless. I wasn't stuck. I had options. I had control over at least some stuff. And even if I still had to live under their roof for a bit longer, I didn't owe them anything. So, I started backing off emotionally. No more trying to make things work. No more asking to be included. I stopped eating dinner with them. Stopped engaging with Steve's fake small talk. Stopped caring if Anthony rolled his eyes every time I walked in. I went invisible. And I was fine with that. I could tell it messed with Steve. He'd try to bait me every once in a while, ask stuff like, "Don't you want to say something?" or "Got nothing to add?" And I'd just nod or shake my head and go back to my room. The less I fed him, the more unsettled he got. It was actually kind of funny. But in the middle of all that silence, an idea started brewing. Something that wasn't just me escaping, but actually flipping the whole situation on its head. Something that would remind Steve and Anthony that I was still here and that Mom still had another family long before they showed up. I didn't know what it was yet, but I knew it was coming. Especially after that circus birthday dinner where I got told I wasn't family. Something just snapped. Not in a punch-the-wall kind of way, but in that cold, focused, I'm done trying type of way. I stopped caring how I came off. I stopped playing nice. I stopped waiting around for them to include me. I was going to take back my mom, that's all I knew. First, I hit up my manager and asked to extend my shifts. Didn't even ask what roles were open. I said I'd do anything. Stockroom, carts, unloading the trucks at 5 a.m. Didn't matter. My manager looked at me like I lost it. You good, man? I just said trying to save up for a trip. Half truth. The real reason? Less time at home equals fewer chances to be dragged into passive-aggressive family dinner theater. Also gave me cover to do what I was actually plotting. That night, I opened up incognito mode and started combing Airbnb listings. I remembered Mom once talking about this quiet little coastal town she visited as a teen. Nothing big or flashy, just beaches, old diners, and quiet. I found a place, small cabin, front porch swing, trees everywhere, 10 minutes from the ocean. It was perfect. Just 3 days, enough to make a point. Only problem, I couldn't risk the booking being traced. Steve has gone through my mail before, pretending it was an accident. Dude's basically the CIA if he suspects you might be breathing too loud. So I texted my friend Mason and asked him to book it under his name. Sent him the money immediately, no questions asked. All he replied was a wink emoji. Mason's my guy. Next step, seal the deal with my brother. I shot him a message. Need you mid-July, 3 days. Me, you, Mom, no one else. He texted back in under 30 seconds. About time. I'm in. That same week I started soft testing Mom. We were in the kitchen. She was peeling carrots. I was doing dishes. Anthony was in the living room watching some video about how billionaires grind harder or whatever he wastes his time on. I just asked, if you could go anywhere right now, no planning, no cost, where would you go? She paused. Somewhere quiet where people don't expect anything from me. Bingo. I wanted to tell her about the plan right then, but I held back. She needed to want it before I dropped it on her. But the more quiet I got, the more the house started acting loud. Steve started getting nosy real quick. He asked me, you working a lot lately? Everything all right? I said, just saving for college. Then he gave me that stare that looked like he knew I wasn't saying everything. He didn't say more, but I knew I'd officially made his radar. Then came Anthony. He's never been subtle. One night, I walk in and catch him poking through my backpack in the living room. I said, lost something? He jumps back like I caught him robbing a bank. Just thought it was mine. Yeah, you bring a backpack to the couch every day now. He didn't respond, just walked off. But that's when I realized I had to move now. The next day, I left work early, hit up the library, printed out the trip plans, directions, reservation info, even diner spots nearby Mom used to talk about. I folded it all into a beat-up folder labeled Math Notes and shoved it deep under my bed. I was about to text my brother to confirm the final date when something happened that almost blew everything. Mom was in the living room folding laundry. Steve and Anthony were watching TV, some dumb reality show where people scream about shrimp. I walk past and I hear Anthony say to Steve real low he's planning something. Bet it's about us. Steve leans forward. Like what? Anthony shrugs. He's acting sneaky, been hiding stuff in his room. I kept walking like I didn't hear anything, but my ears were locked in. Later that night, Steve knocks on my door. You got a minute? I open it a crack. Yeah, he pushes in anyway. Just want to make sure you're not keeping secrets from the family. You know, it would be real selfish to make your mom choose sides. That hit different. He wasn't asking, he was warning me. I said there's nothing going on, and stared right at him. I don't blink when I lie anymore. He stood there a second too long, then just nodded and left. But I knew he didn't buy it. So now I had to tell Mom, not just because time was running out, but because if Steve snooped even once more, it would all unravel. I waited till she was alone. I caught her folding towels in the laundry room. Can I talk to you? I said. She nodded. I pulled out the folder. I planned something for you, me, Lucas. 3 days, peace, just us before I leave for college. She didn't open it. She just held it like it was glass. You're serious? I said, yeah, fully booked. I used Mason's name so no one here finds it. We leave the 18th. She sat down on the dryer. I can't leave Steve and Anthony alone like that, she said quietly. I felt my throat tighten. They leave you alone every damn day. She looked up. For the first time in forever, she didn't try to defend them. I said, you didn't marry them to be a referee. She didn't respond, but she didn't say no either. Then came the final twist. Next morning, I find the folder on the dining table. I panic. Did Steve find it? But taped to the front was a sticky note with one word. Yes. Under it was her signature. And in that exact moment, I heard Steve's truck pull into the driveway. Mom was already in her coat. She looked at me, held her finger to her lips and whispered, "Don't say a word." Few days later, it was trip day. We were supposed to leave at 8 a.m. sharp. I packed the night before quietly. One duffel bag, snacks for the road, printed backup of the directions in case the Wi-Fi cut. I slid the folder into the side pocket and triple-checked everything. My brother texted, "Leaving now. Be outside in 20 minutes." But at 6:30 a.m., as I was double knotting my shoes, there was a knock at my door. I froze. It wasn't the soft knock Mom does. It was fast, aggressive. "Open up," Steve's voice came through. Now I opened it halfway. "What?" He pushed in like he owned the place. His eyes scanned the room, stopped on my packed bag. "You going somewhere?" he asked, too calm. "Visiting a friend?" I lied, heart pounding. "This friend got a name. Mason," he tilted his head. "Mason, who booked that little coastal Airbnb." My stomach dropped. "Funny how you left your email open on the family computer last night. You really think I wouldn't notice a random reservation to a beach town you just asked your mom about?" I stayed quiet. He took a step closer. "Are you taking her? You trying to pull her away from this family?" I didn't answer. I didn't have to. That was my confirmation. He stormed out, yelling to my mom, Mary, like a madman. I followed him down the hallway, 2 steps behind, heart racing. He reached the kitchen where Mom was pouring coffee like it was any other day. "You were going to leave?" he barked. She didn't flinch. "Yes, with him without telling me." My brother's car pulled up outside. Timing could not have been tighter. Mom looked him dead in the eye and said, "I needed space, that's all. Just a few days." Steve turned to me. "You manipulated her into this? You want to destroy this family? I'm not the one who made her feel like a guest in her own life." Anthony burst in from the stairs. Wait, what's happening?" Steve pointed. "They're leaving, just walking out." Anthony looked stunned. "Without us?" "You're not part of the family, so you're not invited," I said, grabbing my bag. "Crazy, right?" My brother honked from the car. No turning back. Steve tried again, but Mom raised her hand. "I'm going. I'm not asking." She walked out the door first. I followed, slamming it behind me. In the car, it was dead quiet for 5 minutes. Just breathing, silence, and the low hum of the highway. Then my brother muttered, "Holy crap, that was wild." I nodded. "And we're not out of the woods yet." Because I knew Steve. I knew that face. That man wasn't letting us go that easy. We got to the cabin by noon. It was everything I hoped. Quiet, breezy, porch swing swaying in the wind. My brother threw his bag onto the couch and flopped down like he'd been carrying bricks. Mom stood near the window, staring at the woods like she forgot what fresh air felt like. "I don't know what's going to happen when we go back," she said finally. "You don't need to think about that now," I told her. "Just breathe." But peace didn't last. Around 3 p.m., my phone buzzed. Blocked number, 1 missed call, then again, then a third. Voicemail. I put it on speaker. Steve's voice. "You think you've won, huh? This isn't over. You just kidnapped my wife." Mom's hands were shaking. "He's insane." I called Mason, told him to check the email and remove everything tied to me. He wiped it clean, replaced the name with a fake one, updated the reservation to private. But the worst wasn't done yet. That evening, we drove into the town to get groceries. As we pulled into the store parking lot, I saw it. A black SUV parked across from the store entrance. Engine off, driver wearing sunglasses. The windows were tinted, but I knew that car. Steve's best friend, Jeff, owned it. I didn't say anything, just parked. Went inside with Mom and my brother. Acted normal, but I checked every aisle, every mirror, every reflection. When we came back out with bags, the SUV was gone. "Do you think they followed us?" my brother asked. "I know they did." Back at the cabin, we drew the curtains, locked the doors, turned the porch light off. Not 'cause we were scared, we were ready. I didn't sleep much that night. Every sound made me sit up, wind in the trees. Get up, peek through the blinds, car passing by, sit by the window and wait till it fades. At 3:17 a.m., my phone buzzed again. A picture, no message, just a photo. It was the Airbnb porch from the woods taken at night. "What the hell?" I whispered, tossing the phone to my brother. He stared at it and sat up immediately. "Is that taken just now?" I nodded. Then Mom's phone buzzed. "Anthony, hope the cabin's cozy." She dropped her phone. We weren't alone. Steve didn't just figure it out. He sent someone. We didn't leave the next morning. We packed, not 'cause we were running. We were preparing for them to come. At 11:42 a.m., there was a knock at the door, slow, loud, deliberate. We didn't answer. Then a voice. "We just want to talk." "Steve, you drove 3 hours to talk," my brother said, not opening. "You took her," Steve replied. "You dragged her into this." Mom stood behind the door, frozen. Then I spoke up. "She left because she wanted to. You just can't handle it." There was silence. Then the crunch of footsteps. I checked the peephole. Gone for now. We stayed one more night armed with kitchen knives and zero trust. And just before leaving the next morning, Mom looked out at the trees and whispered, "This was supposed to be peaceful." I said, "It still is because you chose it." And she nodded. Even as Steve tried to chase us down the road later, even when Anthony blew up our phones with comeback texts, I knew we were winning. Not just the trip, the power, and they knew it too. The second we pulled back into our neighborhood, I knew things were off. Steve's truck wasn't in the driveway. Anthony's car was missing too. For a second I actually thought maybe they'd taken the hint and cleared out. Nah, they were just inside waiting. We barely stepped into the house before we heard Steve's voice echoing from the living room. "Well, look who decided to come back." Mom sighed and dropped her purse gently like it might set off a landmine. I was behind her carrying bags, mentally counting the exits. Anthony popped his head around the corner. "You could have told us where you were going." I didn't even answer. I walked past him and put the bags down in the hallway. That's when Steve stood up from the couch like he was rehearsing this moment in his head the entire 3 days we were gone. "So that's what we are now. You take my wife, leave town, block our calls, and act like I'm the problem." I walked into the living room and said, "You are the problem." He didn't expect that. For once I didn't hold back. I didn't try to play nice. "You've treated me like garbage since day one." I said. "I wasn't even allowed at her birthday dinner." "That's how you define family, right?" Steve tried to speak, but Mom held up her hand. Let him finish. I kept going. "You call her your wife, but you don't even respect her. You call Anthony your son, but you mock her real ones behind her back. You act like this house is yours when you don't even pay for half of it." Anthony scoffed from the kitchen. "Oh, please. You don't even have a job, Anthony," I said without looking at him. "You just sit in your room and apply to places that don't even exist. You're a grown man playing YouTube motivation videos while your dad ruins everything around him." Steve lost it. "Steve, you think you're some genius now? Just because you booked a cheap trip and dragged your mom along for your little pity vacation?" Mom stepped forward. Quiet, firm. "I went because I wanted to. I stayed because I finally felt like myself again. That hasn't happened in years." Steve stared at her like she punched him in the throat. He looked stunned, off balance. That's when I knew I had to take it one level further. "I've got videos," I said. His eyes snapped to me. "What? You think I haven't been recording stuff? I've got clips of you calling me useless, screaming at Mom when you thought no one was listening, mocking her behind her back. You want to keep talking about who's manipulating who?" He started moving toward me. "You're bluffing." I pulled out my phone, opened the gallery, pressed play. Steve's voice clear as day. "She's lucky I even tolerate her kids. If I had it my way, they'd both be out." His own voice, his own words blasting through the speaker. Anthony's eyes went wide. Mom looked like her soul cracked. Steve stood frozen. Then, without warning, he lunged for my phone. Too late. My brother walked in from the hallway holding his phone. "Recording." "Try it," he said. "This one's going straight to the family group chat." Steve stopped, realizing he wasn't in control anymore. Then he snapped. "You think anyone's going to care? You think your little recordings mean anything? I've got friends in this town. I know people." I smiled. "Then you should know the landlord is one of them." That one hit. See, Steve didn't own this house. My mom did, but technically the property title still had a weird leftover clause from her previous mortgage that gave partial authority to the original landlord, Mr. Graham. I called him during the trip, told him everything. He'd known my dad back in the day. He told me if Steve stepped out of line again, he'd back my mom on removing him. "Want to test it?" I said. "I can have Mr. Graham here by this afternoon." Steve's chest rose and fell like he was about to explode, but he didn't. He just turned to Mom. "You're going to let your kids destroy this family." Mom looked him in the eyes. "No, you did that yourself." By evening, Steve was gone, packed one bag, called someone for a ride, and walked out without a goodbye. Anthony stayed because of course he did. He tried to play it off, said he wasn't involved in any of that, said he just wanted peace. I told him peace starts with getting off the couch. He didn't speak to me for the rest of the day. Mom made dinner that night, just pasta and bread, nothing fancy, but the silence was peaceful. No judgment, no tension, just forks, chewing, and soft conversation. At one point she looked up at me and said, "I'm sorry it took me this long." I shook my head. "I'm just glad you finally saw it." We didn't cheer, didn't throw a party, but the air felt lighter. The house didn't feel like a war zone anymore. Still, I wasn't done because Anthony, he had one more thing coming. I had a little folder on my computer labeled Anthony Scam Apps. Want to guess what's inside? Screenshots, records, listings of fake job applications he filled out and never submitted, old Reddit posts he copy-pasted to act like he was grinding, even a resume he stole from some freelancer and just changed the name. And next week, Mom's going to see all of it because if Steve's gone, Anthony's next. But you'd think after getting kicked out, Steve would take the L quietly and disappear into whatever ditch he crawled out of. But nope, dude went full pity parade. He posted some garbage on Facebook about how step-families are complicated and people will turn your own home against you. He even had the nerve to include a blurry picture of me cropped like he was trying to hide it, but still super obvious it was me. Caption: sometimes evil hides behind a kind face. My cousin sent it to me with the message, "Did you punch this man or something?" I hadn't yet. Anyway, I showed it to Mom, expecting her to maybe get mad or start texting Steve to calm down. She didn't even blink. She said, "Let him embarrass himself. People know what he's like." That was nice. But I wasn't done because Anthony, that fool, was still in the house acting like he hadn't just watched his dad get thrown out like a broken microwave. Still walking around like the man of the house. Still microwaving frozen taquitos and leaving the plate in the sink like a child. Like he thought this was just a little awkward phase that would pass and everything would reset. Nah, bro. You picked the wrong brother to disrespect. So, I waited, collected, quietly while Anthony thought he was safe. I was building a digital folder that would blow up everything. Screenshots of the freelance work he claimed to do. Turns out he copied entire chunks of Reddit posts and tried to sell them as consulting. I even reverse image searched a project he told Mom he built and found it in a GitHub thread from 2019. He didn't even change the font, but the cherry on top, a job offer he almost landed. A remote company had sent him a soft offer pending background verification. Guess who listed fake certifications and a stolen resume from some poor guy in Florida? Yeah. So, I contacted the company anonymously, sent them the original Reddit post he lifted from, sent the GitHub link, even included timestamps where he lied to them. They responded within a day. "Thank you for the information. We take fraud very seriously. He will not be considered for this or future roles." And boom, Anthony's one tiny sliver of hope gone. But I wasn't done yet. I printed everything. Yes, printed. I wanted the drama. The physical slam of paper on the table. I put it in a red folder. Yes, I picked red on purpose, labeled its masterclass in lying, and handed it to my mom one afternoon while he was out applying for jobs, also known as playing FIFA, in the basement. She didn't say anything for a long time. Just flipped through page after page, her jaw clenching tighter with each lie. When Anthony came upstairs, she didn't even wait. She dropped the folder in front of him like a legal notice. "Explain this." He looked like someone just shot his dog. "What is this?" "Fake resumes, stolen projects, companies you never applied to. This is what you've been doing while we've been paying for your food and Wi-Fi." He tried to talk. I was trying. I didn't think you'd get caught." She wasn't yelling, that made it worse. He glanced at me like I'd betrayed him. "You saved that stuff. You stalked me." I laughed. "You left your Google Drive open on the family computer. Genius. You literally uploaded a file named fake resume. Final PDF. You did this to yourself." Tried to storm out dramatically but got tangled in his phone charger cord on the way out. Not even kidding, almost tripped. Slammed the door, came back 20 minutes later and mumbled something about just needing support. Mom gave him an ultimatum. Pay rent, get a job, show actual effort, or leave. She gave him 4 weeks. He lasted 2. Guess where he went? Straight to Steve's crusty one-bedroom apartment he was subletting illegally. Guess what happened there? I got a message from a girl I barely knew from school. Apparently, Steve posted in a local Facebook group looking for part-time business partners and asked people to send money for startup costs. She sent him $200 before someone warned her. You know who? Me. I posted screenshots of Steve's weird DMs, added proof of the fake startup, and tagged the local business community page. It got over 100 comments in a day. Steve deleted his post, then his whole profile. Anthony tried defending him in the replies using a burner account called Tony Grindet. People roasted him alive. He deleted his too. It's been 3 weeks since then. Anthony hasn't contacted Mom once. Steve tried texting her something like, "You ruined my life," and she just blocked him without replying. I finally have peace in this house. Like actual quiet. No guilt-tripping, no condescending nonsense from Anthony about how hustling is a mindset, no Steve acting like I owe him respect.
My mom laughs again, like genuinely.
She's thinking of repainting the kitchen and starting a small plant business on the side. My brother visits more often. He brought steaks last weekend and called it a celebration of finally having air to breathe. As for me, I got accepted to college. I'm leaving in a month, and this time I'm not running from anything. They're gone. And I didn't just kick them out, I ripped the masks off while they were still trying to pretend they were good guys. Steve can go scam someone else. Anthony can keep grinding his fake hustle into the dirt. Me, I'm free. And I did it without screaming, without begging, just facts and receipts.